He was vengeance. He was the night. He will always be my Batman. Hi guys, today we are going to remember Kevin Conroy for his role as Batman in Batman the Animated Series and various other projects. Hi guys, welcome back to The Well-Rounded Dude. My name is Chris. Normally we talk about different subject matter, something a little bit more lighthearted, but I felt I had to give a tribute to Kevin Conroy. For a lot of people, myself included, he was, is, and always will be the definitive voice of Batman. Sadly, he passed away a few days ago. I believe it was on the 10th of November. Some are reporting the 11th, but why split hairs? He's gone. And to be honest, this is probably the hardest video I've ever recorded. Kevin Conroy was an icon. A lot of people probably don't know who he is, but he was the voice of Batman, the definitive voice of Batman, to me and to a lot of people. When I think of Batman, I hear his voice. When I read a comic and I read the part of Batman, I read it in his voice. That's what I hear. And what he did for the character of Batman is something that, as much credit as he gets, sometimes it feels like it's not even enough. To be honest, he had the character nailed. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no better way to describe it. And so I thought in this video, to honor him, I could tell you a little bit about my history with the character, because to be honest, I don't know everything there is to know about Kevin Conroy. I know most of his work as Batman, but he's been an actor for years. I haven't seen some of his other things. I know him as Batman, as a lot of people do. And coming in on this particular celebrity death, this one hurts. I mean, I'll be honest, we've all been through the recent celebrity deaths. Betty White and several other ones, Olivia Newton-John, just to name a few. But this one really stung. I really wanted to put this video out sooner. I had planned on doing it over the weekend, and I would go to watch some more episodes or watch little interviews with Kevin in them, or even Mask of the Phantasm. And I just get so crushed just thinking about, this is so good, I love it, and then it clicks in me, it makes me forget about what's going on, and then it clicks that he's gone. That we're not going to get another Batman project unless he did one that's not to my knowledge, but we're not going to get another Batman project hearing his iconic voice. So I was 8 years old when Batman the Animated Series premiered. At the time, I had just broken my arm and I was missing my summer. I was in a cast, I had a couple surgeries, and I was just really bummed. All the fun summer things that you think you can do, you can't really do with a cast on your arm. And that was the summer that Batman the Animated Series premiered. And I remember being enthralled by it. It was just awesome to watch, and that voice just really, Batman was already my favorite superhero, but it was cool because it was at a time when we were still on the Batman wave here. The sequel had just come out, and while it was still pretty popular, sometimes I would get picked on or made fun of for liking Batman. I still do, to be honest, but I just don't care. And once the animated series came out, it was weird because that really changed. Because I knew other kids were watching it. I noticed me being picked on just kind of stopped because people were realizing how cool Batman could be, and they were watching the series. So in a lot of ways, Kevin Conroy and the whole team at Batman the Animated Series, but particularly Kevin Conroy, just really boosted Batman in a way. And I do believe that's why he is the most popular superhero character today. I don't think it really compares. I mean, yeah, you'll have movies that pop up, Iron Man or the Avengers, or like I said before, Black Panther. People are like, oh, Black Panther. But that excitement kind of, it never hit the stride that Batman did at its peak. And it's just, it's not the same. It's one of the things I think it may just be the character. The character is very unique, and Batman doesn't have any superpowers, but he's a superhero. He can't fly, he doesn't have strength. But he does have a power. It's something that's unique, and it's something that we all have, or that we all can do. And that is our willpower. Our sense of what's right, doing the right thing. Even though it doesn't come it's not easy, it comes at a cost sometimes, but that's one of the greatest things about Batman, is that he will think of a way, he will try to find a way to do what's right. And it's very unique in superheroes. I think a lot of times, and I think Kevin really got this across in his performance, especially in Justice League, is like I said, everybody talks about Batman being a superhero, the world's greatest superheroes, Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman. But I don't think Batman ever really thinks of himself that way. He's not looking at himself as a hero. He's just looking at himself as a guy doing the right thing, doing something so nobody has to go through what he went through. And that really carried out in Kevin's performance, especially in Justice League, where he would say, just the way he carried himself was he doesn't really look at himself as being up there with the rest of them. He knew Superman, but he didn't consider himself on the same level. It's just he's trying to do the right thing, trying to protect innocent people. And he doesn't want a reward. He doesn't put himself on that pedestal of being a superhero. And that's one of the things that Kevin Conroy really brought to the character, was I'm just a guy. So to go back a little bit and to talk a little bit more about the impact that he had, you guys got to remember, Batman, the height of Batman, the movie in 1989 with Michael Keaton, has been something that we haven't seen since. The excitement for that movie. I know there's people out there going, well, what about the Avengers? Yeah, what about them? It doesn't compare to the excitement that was going on with Batman in 1989. And, Wakanda forever. No. Sorry. Batman is the most popular superhero character, and there's a reason for that. But I digress. But at its height, the movie delivered. The movie was a huge box office success, like we all know. I mean, they've made countless sequels. And at the time, when a movie was successful like that, there was always a cartoon, some kind of animated series that was going to come after it to capitalize on the success. And there we had Batman the Animated Series. And in a lot of ways, it succeeded. It exceeded their expectations. Because most of the time, those cartoons did not last, right? They would last like maybe a year or two, and that's that. They'd go off, and people would forget about them or whatever. But this was different. This one, not only was the animation groundbreaking, the storyline was good. It captured not just the imagination of children, it really got to adults too. And so much for the fact of, you had this great voice that really symbolized Batman, and that's Kevin Conroy. Just his voice. If you guys have seen it, and I'm sure you have, if you've seen an episode, if you've seen one of the movies that he's been in, the voice just catches you, right? But it was also unique because Kevin did a different voice for Bruce Wayne. That was the first time that had ever been done. I mean, Keaton didn't do it, Adam West didn't do it, and it really set up the narrative of the dual personalities of Batman. Bruce Wayne is the mask, Batman is the person. And just to play those things off separately, it was great because you would see Bruce talking in public, and he'd have his high, rich, snooty voice, like, oh, hi, and then as soon as he was alone talking to Alfred, it was back to that raspy, deep voice that we all know. They really thought about this. This was a cartoon that they really, cartoon was a word that would, it did it a disservice. That's why it's the animated series. It was taken very seriously. It just happened to be animated. But I think that's what really elevated Batman to really stay these years. I mean, the animated series is celebrating its 30th year, roughly. And Conroy did the voice for not just Batman the Animated Series, but Batman Beyond, Justice League Unlimited, countless movies. I mean, I was sitting here trying to think of how many there were. I don't know, but there are several. Mask of the Phantasm is probably one of my favorites. As I talked to you guys before, I told you that movie really meant a lot to me. I always compare it to my version of ice cream. When girls get broken up with or something happens and they turn to ice cream, and that's the joke. For me, when I had a rough time, girl problems, whatever, I put on Batman Mask of the Phantasm. That was my go-to. And it was always a comfort. And ironically, that's what I went to the other day when I learned of Kevin's passing. It's my ice cream. And it sets things right, usually. It gets me back into my thinking into a better perspective. This time, it did the same, but it was bittersweet because I remembered why I turned it on in the first place, and it broke me. So, again, there are countless lines that Kevin gave throughout the years. Some of the more popular ones, as you guys are probably familiar with, is I am vengeance, I am the night, I am Batman. That's a personal favorite of mine, and for many. There's just so many to go through. Crossing over with Superman and the interaction there. I mean, I could go on and on about the performances, the video games, the Arkham series of video games. Probably some of the greatest superhero video games ever. But Kevin was a good guy. Unfortunately, I never got to meet him. He was one of the people on my list that I really wanted to meet someday. But unfortunately, I didn't get the chance. It's really sad because just seeing how he interacted with fans, how passionate he was about the work, and that he really enjoyed doing what he did. And the world is slightly worse off now that somebody like him is gone. And I am just genuinely upset. Some things that I don't think a lot of people realized about Kevin was his amazing singing voice. I mean, some people knew if you're a diehard fan, but the Justice League Unlimited episode, This Little Piggy, where Batman sings Am I Blue, is sung by Kevin Conroy, and he just had a marvelous singing voice. He also sang in the episode of Batman Beyond, Out of the Past, when they did a spoof of Batman, or I shouldn't say a spoof, but it was Batman on Broadway, and the guy playing Batman that's singing a song about a superstitious cowardly lot. That's Kevin doing that voice. He really had that range, and I am really going to miss his work. I know there's a ton of it to, watch again and again, but to know the fact that there's never going to be a new Batman movie or episode or TV series that features his voice, it crushes me. So with that, I am going to put a pin in this. I'm going to say thank you, Kevin Conroy, for everything. You really inspired the 8-year-old boy in me. You continue to inspire me. And thank you for everything. And on that note, I will see you guys next week. Sorry this is such a somber video, but I had to, I don't know even if I did it well, but I had to convey my feelings on the loss of an icon. So hopefully you guys don't begrudge me for that. Tune in next week where we will have much happier subject matter. And if you haven't before, I urge you to try watching episodes of Batman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond, Justice League Unlimited, the countless movies that he's portrayed Batman in, and just hear that voice. I know there's a lot of people that just don't understand, how somebody you've never met can have such an impact on your life and all they did was voice Batman, but this one really hurts. So I will see you guys next time. Take care. Peace.